So this video is how I overcame 15 barriers to the USDA Organic certification process for having my St. Croix sheep certified organic. And whether you get the organic certification or not, raising your sheep organically without chemicals can double or triple the price of the meat you sell from your farm. So the first barrier to organic certification is dewormers. You cannot use dewormers and still get your organic USDA organic certification because all chemical dewormers are on the prohibited list for the USDA organic certification process, so you can't use them. So the easiest way around this is to raise a truly parasite-resistant sheep breed. And these sheep breeds are the Barbados Blackbelly sheep, the Florida native sheep, the Gulf Coast native sheep, and the St. Croix sheep. All of these sheep breeds are parasite resistant and can be raised in the southeast United States or any place that has a high level of humidity and a lot of heat, a lot of temperature. Because it takes both heat and humidity to make these worms a problem for the sheep. So if you live out west in a dry area or a colder area, you might not have to have these breeds as much. So if you live in an area that's colder or drier than the southeast, you might be able to use a somewhat parasite-resistant sheep, which would be the Katahdin sheep and the Royal White sheep. Then there are sheep that are commercially valuable sheep, and they look great, but they have very little parasite resistance. And these breeds are the Dorper, the White Dorper, the Dorset, and many other wool sheep breeds, such as the Wiltshire Horn. So how would you organically certify these sheep breeds? Well, here's how Elmwood Stock Farm solved the problem. They run Dorsets with their Katahdin sheep flock. Now, the Katahdin can eat the worm cyst that would ordinarily affect the Dorset sheep. So when they go together, it actually helps the Dorset. The other thing they do is they do rotational grazing, which lowers their worm load. And they explain it this way. Rather than administer chemical dewormers to control intestinal parasites, we move the flock to fresh grass every 3 days, where the life cycle of the parasite has been disrupted. It's a win-win for pasture health and sheep health. This technique is how they're able to be organically certified with a breed that's really not very parasite resistant, such as the Dorset. Another way to overcome this problem is to look at the USDA regulations itself. And while dewormers are prohibited in your slaughter stock, they are not prohibited in your breeder stock. You can deworm your breeding stock anytime you want, except during the last third of gestation and also when they're lactating. That's the only time you can't deworm them. So if you can schedule your deworming around their lactation and their gestation periods, and your little lambs can be kept in a dry lot or someplace where they can't be exposed to worm cyst, then you're going to be able to get your organic certification. Because the dewormer medication will be just in the breeding stock you have and not in the lambs that you're going to sell for slaughter. The second barrier to USDA organic certification is that your farm cannot have used for the last 3 years any herbicides, any pesticides, or any synthetic or non-organic fertilizers. I've never done any of this, but if you're currently doing this, you're going to have to wait 3 years before you can get your organic certification. So now is the time to quit using these chemicals on your farm. Barrier number 3 is wherever you get your hay fields have to be certified organic. That means no herbicides, no pesticides, and no synthetic fertilizer for 3 years prior to organic certification. So now's the time to quit. Barrier number 4 is whoever cuts your hay, they must clean their equipment when they come from a non-certified organic hay field and into your certified organic field. They got to clean all the debris out of their baler and get all clean because they don't want to have any scraps left over from a non-organic field to be considered organic. So whoever cuts your hay will have to sign some sort of affidavit saying that they did clean their hay baler before they came into your field. I thought this was a bit extreme, and it's one of the things that made me reconsider organic certification. It just seemed like it was just way too much. Barrier number 5 is you must feed organic feed only to your animals. You can't just feed them something you get down at the co-op or something that's been sprayed with glyphosates or pesticides. It can't come from a non-organic source. It has to come from an organic producer. Otherwise, you're going to be putting chemicals back into your animals. And I think this is one of the better things I learned to do, because I don't use feed that much. I just use them to catch the animals with. But it's really a very helpful thing to do. It was so hard to find the organic feed that I needed to use. That was the hardest part about it. Because your organic feed has to come from an organic producer that's listed on the USDA Integrity Database, which is a list of all the people that actually raise organic crops. So here is the USDA Organic Integrity Database, and I'll put a link down below. It shows a listing of all the people that are producing organic feed. And so I'm going to use the database to verify that Kentucky Organic Farm and Feed is actually a verified vendor. So I type in Kentucky Organic in the operation name, and I get this return. And by clicking on their name, I get their data information that it pulls back, and it says, yes, they are registered. And if we look up in this upper right-hand corner, they've got a certificate that you can export to a PDF or print. And so we're going to do that because you have to present this to your certifier to show that you're buying it from a legitimate source. And here's their certificate. It shows they're valid. They can sell organic feeds. It's a Mennonite or Amish community, and they just do a great job. I'm really impressed by them. So what if I want to look and see where else I can buy organic feed? Well, if I put in Tennessee and then I put in the certified products on the right as animal feed, it only brings back 3 entries, and they're either selling bird feed or some sort of amendment, chemical amendment that's organic, and none of it I can use. So there's nothing in Tennessee I can use at all. So the next closest state to me is Kentucky. When I look at this, really there's only 2 in there that are actually selling feed that I can use, and the other one's further away than Kentucky Organic Farm and Feed. So I'm going to stick with them, but this is how limited your sources are for getting organic feed. Now, if I go to Tractor Supply, they have organic feed from Nature's Best, and it's going for $28 a bag. But if you look at it, it says $28 for a 40-pound bag. So when you do the math, that comes out to actually $36.24 for a 50-pound bag, which is really, really expensive. The other problem is when I look up Nature's Best on the Organic Integrity Database to get their certificate, I found this company out of Irvine, California. And if I look at their information, it tells me they're growing field squash, and strawberries. So that's not the one actually making the organic feed. If I go back to the Integrity Database and look up Nature_S Best, then I come up with this entry out of Millersburg, Ohio. And the problem with their information when I pull it up is that they are growing corn, hay, and pasture. And so that's probably not the companies that's actually putting the stuff out for Tractor Supply. I got to do a lot more research, but I got to have that certificate before I can actually use it to be organically certified. So I'm sticking with Kentucky Organic Farm and Feed Incorporated for right now because I can get their certificate and the prices aren't that bad. Of course, that's relative because their prices are about 3 times what you'd pay down at the co-op, but they seem to be pretty reasonable for organic. So if you look at their price list, we can see that for 16% sheep feed, organic sheep feed, that's going for $24.16, which compared to Tractor Supply is a lot cheaper. There's another thing where they will do a delivery fee of $4 for every 50-pound bag. They bring it out to near where I live in Cookeville, Tennessee. So they will deliver a lot closer. However, just driving over there and picking up like 20 bags one time a year is really not that bad for me. Because I'm nearly 100% grass-fed with my animals. I raise them on grass and hay. And I only put out a little bit of grain just to get them into the barn so I can run them back through the chute or sort them or catch them or whatever I have to do. So I feed them very little grain. Now, part of this barrier is that all of your other inputs must also be certified organic, and that could be either sheep minerals or soil amendments or grass seed for reseeding your pasture, or even organic fertilizer. It all has to come from a certified organic source. Barrier number 6 is you must tag your animals for inventory control purposes to get your organic certification if you haven't done so already. Barrier number 7 is you must keep records of every sale you make and everything that you purchase so that your USDA certifier can make certain you're not purchasing inorganic feed. Now, I have a hard time with this because I like my privacy, really, and keeping records is not what I'm really good at, but a lot of other people see this as a bigger barrier than maybe it should be, including me. Barrier number 8 is you'll need to read the National Organic Plan Handbook and try to understand it the best that you can. Of special interest will be this guide for organic livestock producers, and I'll put a link to both down below, and in the comments, and let you know that. But you're gonna have to do some reading and understand this all on your own, not just listen to me. Barrier number 9 is you have to find a USDA approved certification agency that's listed on the integrity database that will certify you that you are now an organic producer. Now, when I look for a certification company that has their headquarters in Tennessee, I find absolutely none. When I look for one that has their offices in Tennessee, I find none. So when I look at their operations, where they actually operate, I find that there are 20 different companies that operate in Tennessee. And there's 2 companies I've been looking at. One is a CCOF out of California. When I look at their information, by clicking on their link, it gives me a link that shows me their website and other information about how to contact them. So I can go out to their website and get some more information about what they're going to charge me and what all they do for me. And I've been in contact with CCOF, and they're great. They've really helped me out quite a bit. I just haven't purchased anything yet. The other company I'm looking at is something called Oregon Tilth. And if we look at their information, it tells me their website address and how to contact them. And so I can take it from there and do my own research on their prices and the services they offer. And the other way I'm narrowing down my certification agency is to go back and look at all the organic producers in Tennessee that are listed on the integrity database. It also shows who their certifier is. So I made a complete list and put a tally mark next to the most popular certifiers. And that let me know the ones that most people were using, also the ones that were doing livestock. I looked at livestock producers in Tennessee and saw who was the most favorite certified agency, and that's kind of how I proceeded with my research. Barrier number 10 is the payment you got to make to the certification agency. You have to pay at least $1,000 to $2,000 the first year for the initial setup and inspection, and then at least $1,000, if not more, every year after that for your annual inspections. This is a real deal breaker for the small farmer. It just won't work. Barrier number 11 is you cannot withhold medication to a sick animal in order to keep your organic certification. And that's fine. I just cull them. I don't medicate them. I just cull the sick, and hopefully that'll work. And I never let an animal suffer either, so it makes a lot of sense. Barrier number 12, all animals must have access to pasture 120 days out of the year, and that's not a problem as I'm almost entirely grass-fed. Barrier number 13, you must submit the following paperwork to your organic certifier: an application, an organic systems plan where you show how you're going to follow the organic model, a farm map showing which parts of your farm are organic, which aren't, the field history for any new fields you bring into production, and an operator agreement for any operator that operates the hay baling equipment, and a report of all the organic yields and sales that you made from your property as organic. And that's a lot of paperwork, let me tell you. And here's the toughest barrier of them all: finding a USDA organically certified slaughterhouse and packer. It's almost impossible. Getting over this is like conquering the Hillary step at the top of Mount Everest. You think you're not going to make it, you're at the very top, but you get over this step and you'll be fine. Now, if you go to the integrity database and you click on the advanced search tab, you're going to get a screen like this. If you scroll down to the bottom of the screen, you can check the boxes that say handling and certified and slaughterhouses down at the bottom. This will return a list of all the USDA organically certified slaughterhouses in the United States, and there's a whopping 59 USDA certified organic slaughterhouses. There's none in Tennessee, there's none in Kentucky, and there's maybe 2 in Virginia, and maybe 3 or 4 in all of Ohio. And that's the only places I can go to get this organically certified label on my meat when it gets processed. And there's no way I could ever drive that far to have my animals processed and make a profit, so it's impossible. So the way you get around this is you can label your sheep as organic. You just can't label the meat as organic that you produce. And since you're going to be selling direct to your customers, they don't care because you're going to sell direct or maybe the entire animal to a customer as organic. You can do it that way. So we get to this final barrier, barrier number 15. Is it worth it? I mean, really, is USDA organic certification really worth it for the small to medium sheep farmer? Now, if you're a millionaire, yeah, it's worth it. You're going to get your stuff into a big grocery store chain. But what about the small guy, the medium guy that has maybe like 50 to 100 sheep? Is it really worth it? Well, there are alternatives to USDA organic certification. One is this certified naturally grown, where one farmer certifies his neighbor farmer, and it's like $250 a year. And instead of having a third-party certifier and all the bureaucracy that comes with USDA, it's really just people, other farmers, getting together and certifying each other. And it's the exact same requirements as the USDA certification, so there's no difference. It's just a certification method. And what about being certified by your own customers? That is, they know what you're doing. You can show them your organic feed bags that you're using, or they can catch you down at the co-op buying the cheap stuff that's been sprayed with glyphosates going into the sheep they buy. They should know more about you than a certifier that comes by once a year. They live next door to you, and your customers are probably local, so I think that'd be a much better certification from your own customers for the small person. So before I worry about USDA certification, I need to start selling direct to my own customers in my own community and get a CSA or some other setup going where I can sell direct. Because selling lamb meat direct to my local customers will bring at least twice the income that I've been getting from selling breeding stock. And if the Prime Act gets passed, I can sell cuts to my customers, not just a part of a lamb or half a sheep. And I can sell them to them from a much cheaper custom processor that does not have to pay a USDA inspector just to look at every carcass. And there is a tremendous demand for chemical-free food, chemical-free meat. And so I'm going to wait on my USDA organic certification and build up a community shares association where I can sell my meat directly to my customers and tell them what I've got, and I've got chemical-free. And I think I'm going to do really well with that. Well, thanks for listening to the video.